Resolution 2. January 30th, we have in our very presence Chef Jose Salazar. Thanks for being here. As a reminder, thanks to Owen Rassman, we have Cincinnati Reds pitcher Brent Suter next Thursday. Make sure you sign up by 5 o'clock tomorrow. I want to thank the Sheards for putting on a phenomenal leadership program. Thank you, Bob and Stephanie. And if you haven't attended, please sign up for the next one because it will change. Today we had a discussion about changing lifestyles, and there's ways we can eat better and exercise more and socially gather. So Rotary saves people's lives by the social side. We're going to kick it off the meeting with Jen Messler and Bob Brenstetter with the national anthem.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you now join me as we pray? We come before you with hearts filled with gratitude and concern, seeking your presence in this gathering of Rotary. As we uphold the values of service above self, we ask for your guidance in our efforts to make a difference in this world. Today we hold in our hearts all those affected by the American Eagle and U.S. Army Black Hawk crash last night in Washington, D.C. Comfort the families who mourn, strengthen the hands of those who respond, and grant healing to all in a situation where such promise and hope in life yet to be lived has been taken away. May our compassion extend beyond words into meaningful action that honors their lives. This includes praying for our sister clubs around the world that have been impacted by this tragedy. And especially we offer prayers for the Rotary clubs of Wichita and Derby, Kansas. We also give thanks for the talents and generosity of our honored guest, Chef Jose. Bless his hands that prepare nourishment, his spirit that brings people together, and his work that reflects the power of hospitality and service. May his example inspire us as we serve with excellence and our heart. As we gather in fellowship, may we be reminded of our purpose to build bridges of peace, extend kindness, and uplift those who are in need. Unite us across our faiths, political differences, backgrounds, and borders, so that our service may shine as a light to all of the world. In the spirit of love, justice, and humility, we offer this prayer. Amen. Amen. And now let us join together in all of those things that we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Please be seated.
So we have many guests visiting Rotarians. We're going to have Dan Long come up and introduce them and remind you, you've come to the meeting today, we welcome you as a Rotarian in the future. Dan? President Eric. Eric, I think Todd would make a good pastor. So we have some wonderful guests today that I have the pleasure to introduce.
Thanks.
And I would ask everyone if you could hold your applause until everyone is introduced. And I think it's easier to say that the following are all guests of Michael Schatzman. So we'll start out with Erica Almquist with DBL Law. And Erica is actually the daughter of Arne Almquist, a past president of our Cincinnati Rotary Club. Ryan Back is with the division's maintenance group, and I also find out that he and I are fraternity brothers from the University of Cincinnati. Brian Maloney is with the Mary Magdalene House. He's the operations director. Heidi Spade is with Horizon Equipment. Joseph Davison is with True Partner Credit Union. And finally, Megan Jackson is with Dragonfly Foundation. And in addition, we have Cynthia Hale Price with Safety Queens Consulting, Melinda Kelly, and we have Herman Najali with New York Life Insurance, Diane Media, and I believe that is it. So let's give our Rotary guests a nice Rotary welcome. And I also want to mention, I'm old school, but I think if I asked for a show of hands as to how many of us were led to this Rotary Club by another Rotarian that's probably here today, probably close to 100% of us would raise their hand and say, yes, I was brought here by another Rotarian. So I'm asking all of you to make an all-out effort to find someone that you think would make a good Rotarian sometime before the end of Eric's regime. We have some great speakers, great programs coming up in February, and I'll be handing out a calendar for February and hope that you would get it and really make a really solid effort to bring someone. Thank you. Speaking of new members, I want to welcome up Dan Olinger and Connie Ring to introduce, for Don to introduce Connie to the membership.
Thank you. Again, I want to introduce Connie Ring. We are very delighted to have her part of our organization. Connie has a daughter here, Quinn, and son, Keller, who's in Miami currently. Now, Connie has an education degree from the University of Akron and a master's degree at the University of Cincinnati in math. She also was an adjunct professor at UC teaching calculus. So all you calculus fans out there, raise your hand. Okay, Doc, you got it. She taught at high schools in Cincinnati, Lebanon, Mason, Ursuline Academy, and Bullard, plus two schools while she was in Chicago. She founded a nonprofit. It's very interesting and something that should be close to all of our hearts. In northern Uganda to assist ex-child soldiers and sex slaves. And that's when she began to learn fundraising. Because we all know sometimes fundraising is difficult. But when you have something that's important in your heart, then you're willing to make that tremendous effort to raise that money. So she's now the director of philanthropy giving at New Path, and we want to welcome her to Rotary.
Here's your pen. Wear it proudly. Connie. For the next installment, we have Bill Shula and, Bill Shula is going to introduce Paul Harris, fellow, and then Steve's going to have a second part.
You got him on this, so he's going to keep coming up here. So I'm really honored to be here again to talk to you about Paul Harris and recognize our fellow Rotarians for their support of the Rotary International Foundation. We have an excellent Cincinnati Foundation, which does outstanding service in our greater Cincinnati community. The Rotary International Foundation is truly international by serving thousands of countries around the world. Our club has received over $100,000 from the Rotary Foundation since 2015 for various service projects that we've done with our Cincinnati Rotary Club. You as a Rotarian can donate to other 7 areas of focus: peace and conflict resolution, disease prevention, sanitation, hygiene, maternal and child care, basic education and literacy, economic and community development, environmental issues, and polio eradication. In 1905, Paul Harris started Rotary on February 23rd in Chicago, and the meetings rotated around the Chicago area. The first service project was done in 1906, where they provided toilet facilities outside the Chicago City Hall and new horses for family doctors to visit patients in that particular area. So the doctors had to ride a horse around to see the patients. The foundation was started in 1917 in Atlanta. The endowment fund was started by President at that time, Arch Klump, entitled Service and Helpfulness. And he was from Cleveland, Ohio, and started the foundation at the Rotary Conference with a donation of $26.50. In 1985, the Polio Plus program began and was introduced. At that time, 350,000 children were afflicted by polio each year, and it was eliminated in the United States in 1994. It has been eliminated at 99% level worldwide today. However, I need to report that the number has gone up in Afghanistan and Pakistan. It was down to 3, now they're up to just around 100. Cincinnati Honorary Rotarian Albert Sabin was key in developing the oral vaccine in Cincinnati. So we have a tie in the Cincinnati area to the vaccine. Bill Gates Foundation began supporting polio eradication in 2002 with $1 million. Now and today, if we raise $50 million for Rotary International around the world, he gives $100 million to that presentation. So again, the multiple Paul Harris Fellow, and I'm going to give those awards out today. There's different levels, 1 through 10, and there's a different 1 through 5 receive a sapphire stone. Level 6 through 8 receive rubies, and if you gift at the major donor level, you receive some diamonds on your certificate. So at this time, I would like to go ahead and start giving out. It's easy to donate if you just go to your My Rotary account and donate on a monthly basis. So first, I want to recognize our Rotarian. Somebody's buzzing over here. This is the first level. We can open this up over here. David Wilson, would you please come up? And from Rotary International, he is being named as a Paul Harris Fellow in appreciation of tangible and significant assistance given for the furtherance of better understanding and friendly relations among peoples of the world. So I'd like to present this to you, as well as a pen that you can add to. Congratulations. Wait up here. And to call up Tom Noonan, and he is receiving a Paul Harris Level 1. Congratulations, sir. Also, we have this Mike LaValle, Paul Harris Fellow 1 also. And now we have Steve King. He is a Paul Harris Fellow Level 5. So I want to thank all our Rotarians for the support of the International Foundation, and thank all the gentlemen up here, and also Ellen Bowman could not be here today because she's going to be receiving an award as well. So, and also, if you're a Rotarian and you want to become part of the Paul Harris Society, which I'm the coordinator for District 6670, it's a donation of $1,000 a year for a 5-year period of time. And I'd be happy to help you become that Paul Harris Fellow as well. So congratulations, and I think you have something else you want to say?
Bill, there's just one more Paul Harris Fellowship to award. I'm a big, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of the Paul Harris, being a Paul Harris Fellow and supporting the RA Foundation, but I actually am here on behalf of the past presidents. Last fall, we welcomed and celebrated the most immediate past president, Doug Bolton, at a dinner. At that same occasion, we took that occasion to honor one of our own that we had lost, Herschel York, past president, 1985, passed away at age 100. Some of you remember Herschel, right? He was known for his flashy socks and fancy jackets, and was a real kind soul. And as has become tradition, to honor Herschel's memory, the past presidents are gifting a Paul Harris Fellow to someone who embodies the spirit of Paul Harris, someone who's unselfish and unheralded, someone who's committed to this club, and someone who will be a first-time recipient. What's especially fun is that this particular recognition is a surprise. This Rotarian is a treasure. She brightens the room with her smile. She has boundless energy for hands-on service. I have lost track of the number of due dates projects that this Rotarian has served on. I don't know if it was, whether it's been her service on the board, or her decade of service to Rotary Youth Exchange, or her talent for writing parodies, but I adore this Rotarian's can-do spirit. Nothing can slow this woman down. I once stopped by her house, and in the middle of her front yard, this Rotarian was standing with a shovel in her hand on top of a huge mound of dirt. I said, "What are you doing up there?" She said, "I'm leveling my yard." I was like, wow. I don't think can't is in this Rotarian's vocabulary. She brings talent and confidence. She brings the talent and confidence of the fearless and the gutsy. She's taught me a lot about pushing through in the face of adversity on some of the committees we've served on together. I'll share one final story. A few years ago, right after the four-way test speech contest, this Rotarian was so inspired by the students that she turned to me and she confessed how much she just adored Rotary and adored this club. She said that through the four-way test, we all share a common set of values, and that gives her hope, and it really brightens her outlook. And, well, I think we're lucky to have this Rotarian brightening our club and brightening our outlook. I know I am. On behalf of all the past presidents, I would like to award this Paul Harris Fellow to my friend, Janet Metzeler.
also working on the Jefferson Award program, so we wrap up is at the middle of February, so please seek some nominations for the Jefferson Award. If you got any questions, please see me today.
All right, how do we follow that up? We have a little later. I'm going to announce a. Yeah. We do have a little surprise in about 30 seconds here, so be ready. We have two committee meetings later on today. New members, advisory committee in Highland Room, and program committee in the bridal suite. And we have a number of birthdays we want to celebrate. We have January 28th, Paul Curlia, Diane Nevius, who's here, January 28th, David Whelan on January 29th, February 2nd, our Christy, Brad McGonigal on February 2nd, and February 3rd, Brad Green. We have a special surprise for one of our office queens, Christy. He's hiding. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Christy. Happy birthday to you.
I'm only 5 now? Add a 0.
Happy birthday, Christy. That was our second surprise of today. Our third surprise is who's going to win the split the pot. We've got a big pot today, $45 and $305. And the second pot, we're going to have Jeff Salazar pick the winning ticket. We are blue, so pressure's on. Just one.
20932-626.
20932-626. All right. It's a record. All right, before we get into the family Rotary, we wanted to give you an update on our phenomenal survey results. I want to thank the survey team, Brian Bowling and Wes Potter. Can you raise your hand? Let's thank them for all their great work. And also to the office for sending out the survey. We had a record number of people that filled it out today, and almost a third of the membership, so that's a great number. I want to go through kind of the highlights here, and also our other action steps are after this, because we are a club that's focused on action. On this strict side, we are pleased to announce that we had record numbers on the satisfaction side. You can see from the screen, 96% were satisfied with the club, which is similar to last year, but 2 years in a row of well above 95%. We have 93% that feel that Rotary Club of Cincinnati is a good value. We have 90% satisfied with program quality and 99% satisfied with service projects. That's a record. There's only 1% that's dissatisfied. I don't think that all are satisfied. And thanks to Brian Bowling for heading up the new structure there. 97% satisfied with networking and fellowship opportunities. And we bumped up from 8 out of 10 last year to 9 out of 10. How likely are you to recommend the Rotary Club of Cincinnati to a friend, family member, or colleague? That is your net promoter score, which is at record highs. And I would ask you, with that great score, let's go out and bring in more members to the club so we can have the A-line speakers like Chef Salazar, Senator Portman, and ones that we'll announce a little later. So we have a great club, and it's coming on survey results. On the weaknesses side, if you go to the next slide. Sorry, it's my clicker, I guess. It's me. That's my weakness. Okay, so this is kind of a constant theme, cost of membership, and then all members need to recruit new members. We talked about this with G5, and increased speaker time, and today you're going to get a special treat. Chef Salazar is going to have 5 minutes prepared, and the rest is going to be Q&A. So please get your Q&A ready, and Sarah's going to be walking around with a mic, so we will deliver for you. But the cost of membership, just one example of coming to the View, you save over $5 in parking already, so that's a saving. So on the threat side, lack of time to attend the meetings, in person or virtual, meeting location and parking, we just solved that with coming to the View. Cost of meals and membership fees, we reduced by keeping parking 0. And then membership fees, we're slowly looking at that. We've had tremendous success in the Flex program. I know Steve and Melinda were a critical part of that process. And we're getting record numbers on the Flex side. So it's working. And as far as opportunities, kind of as a wrap up, for the survey, this is true for both years. About a third, a little bit more than a third, we're interested in learning more about leadership opportunities in the club. So one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to have more of the informal discussions before a meeting, which will be announced later, where board members, executive team will talk about what's involved in those roles. And we encourage you to ask questions because we're coming up on the nominating committee process where President nominee Ed Mathis will be the kind of putting that together. And I'll be running the nominating committee next July. So if you're interested, make sure you sign up for those events, attend, and ask questions. And then the second bullet point is, over the several years, we've talked about people wanting to start at a different time. And we're actually going to deliver. Based on the survey we have lined up, thanks to Sarah's great work, we have Brad Winstrup will be hosting a breakfast for Rotarians. We're still finalizing the location, but it will be in February. So that'll start at 8 a.m. And my plan is to end at 9 so you can get back to work. And it's going to be a shorter meeting, less business, and more talking with Brad Winstrup, who's a Rotarian. We want to make sure we deliver that. And if that's a success, we will open that up to more meetings as a breakfast meeting. And as always, we always want to grow the club. Our goal is to grow over the next 5 years, each year by net 12 new members a year. And we're making progress to that goal right now. So in summary, we're doing well. We're creating action steps for the future. And we came up with 11 items that we're going to be doing between now and June. So we're very busy, but I want to highlight a few of those. Next Thursday at 11 a.m., we're going to have a committee chair board meeting, which is going to be discussing items from the office, from me, about the nomination process, what it is for moving from committee chair to board. We're going to have a leadership meeting I discussed. We're also having the Rotary breakfast. Sarah's working hard with the View, trying to recharge the food options. There's been some discussion, you probably saw there's a reduced number of desserts, but that's by design because some of it's being left behind. We don't want to we don't want to waste a lot of that. And then the last item is RLI, which I know Bill Shula is very involved in, is a program that is a phenomenal program, has 3 levels, and I've gone through all 3, and we recommend that for all people in Rotary, in this club, who want to go to the next level to become part of RLI. You can talk to Bill more about this after the meeting. But we will pay for your series, so it's no cost to you. You just have to travel. It's a Saturday but you'll meet not only fellow members from your club, you also meet fellow leaders from other clubs, and you get to create a network. So those are some of the things that we're working on. There's many other things we're working on. But the point is, the survey was good. We have some action steps, and we're taking action right now to make that happen. So just make sure that you do the survey next year. We'll do another one under Lisa's year, and let's continue the progress of creating a phenomenal club. That's all for the survey. In the dates to remember, we have as I discussed, next Thursday at 11 a.m. here in the Highland Room, we're going to have the all committee chairs and board directors meeting. Make sure you put it on your list. Can I have if our committee chair or board member, please raise your hand. All right. Next step is I want you to put that date on your calendar. 11 a.m. at the View, Highland Room. Last a little bit, it'll be less than an hour, and then you can go to the regular meeting where we're going to have the pitcher from the Reds come to talk to us about the Reds and answer all your questions. Second date to put on your calendar is February 1st, which is coming up this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11:30. We're looking for volunteers to help build small dining tables, coffee tables, and end tables for melamine and particle board at New Life Furniture. No woodworking experience is needed to participate. Contact Rotarian Brian Rolling or Michelle Starr to volunteer.
It actually is full. That's okay.
Oh, it's full. All right, congrats. And as Belle said, nominations are open for the 2025 Jefferson Awards. Please find the nomination form on the front page of our website or in this week's E-Raise. We have our next Rotary Happy Hour at Thursday, February 13th, from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Mad Tree Brewing in Oakley. And the last item is about Pickleball. Did you receive a gift card over the holidays that you won't be using? Consider donating it to the Rotary Foundation of Cincinnati Pickleball silent auction on March 8th. Sign up for the event in DAC DB. Those are all the announcements today. I want to kick it off with our program. So again, the format is going to be Chef Salazar will talk, and then we'll have Q&A. He does have another meeting after this, but I'm sure you can answer a few questions as he rolls out the door. But thanks for being here, Chef. And actually, Sarah was the one that brought him in. So thanks to Sarah. Chef Jose Salazar, born in Columbia and raised in Queens, New York, is a James Beard Award-nominated chef known for his innovative culinary approach. He trained under esteemed chefs like Jean-Georges Von Richten and Thomas Keller. In 2008, he moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he served as an executive chef at the Palace before opening up his own restaurants. Salazar in 2013, Mitas in 2015, Safi Weinbauer, and Daylily. Salazar's cuisine blends Latin American flavors with modern American techniques, significantly enriching Cincinnati's dining scene. Let's give a warm welcome to Chef Salazar.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah threatened to stop eating the salad, the hardest salad at Daylily, if I didn't show up. No, I'm just kidding. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you to the Rotary. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to be here today. Of course, I've been thinking about what to say for a little while now, but in typical form for me, I didn't put pen to paper until this morning. That's just kind of the way I am. I'm a spontaneous person. I was recently interviewed for a magazine and was asked, what will your legacy be? And honestly, I was a little offended by the question because I'm only 50 years old and I'd like to think I'm a young 50. Didn't really consider what my legacy, my death would look like just yet. And secondly, I'm just not conceited enough really to consider what people are going to think about me when I'm gone. But what I'm really trying to say is that I like to live more in the moment. And I don't really consider too much what life will be like for me in the future. I'm very much concerned with what's going on today. My inspirations come and go, and with that, so do my thoughts on how to approach life and business. Of course, in some areas I'm quite structured and calculated, but I certainly don't have a roadmap that I live by. It's a little bit improbable for me to be here today, honestly, to be in this position, to be asked to speak in front of all of you all. My younger self would be quite surprised, and my teachers would be, I think, in shock. I don't think they would definitely be in shock. I was that student that didn't apply himself. Most subjects didn't interest me, and I guess I was a creative before the term creative was even coined. I despised math, sorry, Connie. Awful. But I love the arts, and so for every class that I did well in, those art structured classes, there was many that I didn't do well in. So, as you can kind of imagine, school, being scholastic really wasn't in my DNA, but nonetheless, I persevered to be here today. So I was a latchkey kid from an immigrant family in New York City. My mother was a single mother, raised myself and my brother. She worked 3 jobs to pay the bills and to put herself through college. Went on to get a master's degree. So, you know, seeing her do that gave me an understanding of the value of hard work, determination, sacrifice, and perseverance. A big part of my success is born from that example that was set by my mother. Like many entrepreneurs, I've had to figure things out through trial and error. Failure has fueled my growth, as I'm sure it has many of you. As many of you also know, that surrounding yourself with smart, caring folks, we can inherit those traits from them via osmosis. So here today with all of you, my hope is that your expertise and your energy will transfer to me. Thank you again for your time. It's a real honor, and I look forward to seeing you all in the restaurant. Even Connie, please. I'm sorry. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Q&A time.
Did you take home economics?
Did I take home economics? No, it wasn't cool then. I should have. Interestingly, my school, it was the only high school in New York City that had a farming program. And it was not cool to take that. We called them the Aggies. That was a derogatory term. And in hindsight, I wish I would have taken those classes. I love growing stuff. I'm not very good at it, but I like having a garden, and I wish I understood better how to not kill it.
So Chef Salazar, with all the creative opportunities, music, art, literature, how did you choose food?
It's kind of by accident. I got a job. I didn't go to college. I got a job out of high school that my mother kind of almost forced me to get in the restaurant. And I was a server. I was a bartender and a server for a few years. But found myself gravitating more and more towards what was going on in the kitchen. In fact, I'd get in trouble because, you know, the owner would come and say, "Table 21's looking for their check," and I'd be in the back trying to learn how to make the bread, or, you know, in the chef's ear trying to understand what they were doing. So it kind of just bit me and fell in love.
What is your favorite thing to cook for yourself and your family?
That is the one question I think all chefs get the most. And it really depends. If you ask me right now, and it's 20 or 30 or 40 degrees outside, I'll probably tell you that it's something slow cooked. I made a wonderful slow-cooked beef shank the other day and served it simply with some pasta, and that was phenomenal. But if you ask me in July, I'd probably say something light and refreshing, maybe a fish preparation. So it honestly really depends on the mood that I'm in, the time of the year, whatever's in season. So like I said, I'm pretty spontaneous. If I go to the market and the carrots look amazing, I'm probably going to cook the carrots. And if the carrots look like shit, I'm not going to cook carrots.
Can you share with us the stories behind why you started your restaurants?
Sure. Well, I mean, I've been cooking for a long time at that point, and I probably opened about a dozen restaurants for other people. So I felt like I had a pretty good understanding at that point. However, there's just so much that I didn't know that I had to learn, and in particular the business stuff. Like I said, I'm creative, I'm a chef, so understanding the numbers, that was a challenge. But to answer your question, really, I got to a point where it was kind of evident that I needed to have that creative outlet, to be able to do my food, and cooking other people's food wasn't quite as rewarding or satisfying anymore.
We've got a fabulous food scene here in Cincinnati, but also we've had quite a few restaurants close here right around the first of the year. A challenging environment. Can you just talk to that a little bit about what do you think needs to happen to keep growing the food scene, aside from maybe getting the Sundance Film Festival, which would bring in a bunch of
that would be pretty phenomenal.
But I'd like to see what your opinions are.
Sure. Our business is very challenging, but COVID obviously made it even more challenging for a lot of us, and many of us have been holding on post-COVID. And then there's just a lot of factors that, came together all around the same time that's leading to some of these places going out of business. But, it's cyclical. We've been through tough times before, and every industry has those times, those ups and those downs. And I feel confident that we're going to rebound and we'll be back. But it's a tough business. There's no getting around that. Regardless of whatever the financial climate is, the margins are always going to be very low in restaurants, and the failure rate is always going to be pretty high, unfortunately.
So as a kind of a follow-on to that, first of all, my wife and I, Venus is our go-to restaurant for special occasions. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So kind of follow on to that, right now you've got obviously rising food costs.
Mhm.
You got consumers pushing back against menu price increases.
Mhm.
You got labor, wage issues, and just trying to keep people in the restaurant working. How do you balance all of that out at this point to stay viable and fresh?
Yeah, I don't know. Help me figure that out. I said I'm here to learn from you guys. I need some help. We always find ways to adapt. I've been referencing a lot the 2008 downturn in the economy, right? And you'd go to a nice restaurant, and you would never see a burger on the menu in one of those places, right? And what did restaurants start doing? They started putting more casual food on their menus because they had to. And so and then COVID happened, and we adapted. We found the takeout model. We found different ways to sustain ourselves. And so we're in that same kind of scenario right now where we have to figure it out. We're really good at pivoting. That word that we all hate so much from COVID. We've always been able to do that. We've always had to do that. And so we're going to continue to adapt and conform to what we need to do. And sometimes it takes a little while to figure that out, right? So you kind of sometimes maybe are a little late to the game and understanding what the consumer wants and how to continue to be viable. But we'll, again, as an industry, I feel confident that we'll figure it out.
Chef, to your point,
daily. That's a bit of a different concept. I think we'd be interested to know what you learned from being in New York, positioning a bodega in Columbia, Tuscaloosa, the oldest community in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who doesn't know what a bodega is, it's a corner store. You know, the bodega is a Spanish word. It means shop, and traditionally they're run by Latin American immigrants, sometimes you know, people from other places, but you know, traditionally it would be Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and Cubans that, you know, open up a little corner shop, and it's a little bit of everything. You got your groceries, you got your sandwiches, you got your coffee, and so, you know, that's what I grew up with, and I wanted to kind of bring a little bit of that flavor to Cincinnati. The only difference is that in New York, the bodega's coffee is awful. It's really, really bad. It comes in that little blue and white Greek cup, and you have to add a ton of sugar, and you would shake it up just so you wouldn't taste the crappy coffee. But we partnered with Deeper Roots, who's been our coffee supplier from the day that we opened the restaurants. And so we have great coffee, we have sandwiches, all of that. But I live 2 blocks away, so I selfishly kind of put it there for myself. There's no grocery stores in my area, and there wasn't great coffee, so it's my store that you guys get to come and hang out in.
I'm interested in how many hours you work a day, how many hours you work in a typical week.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give you an easy question. Choose 3 of your favorite spices that you like to cook with.
Okay, great. Hours vary. I was telling Nancy at my table earlier that my weeks really are, we were talking about how you all gather every Thursday. And I said that would be really challenging for me because I don't know what next week's going to look like. We have different events, or we have someone call out sick, or we have, you know, the dish machine breaks, or whatever. So this week, I'm probably already at 45, 50 hours, and I'll probably work another 20. So that's this week. Next week, it's looking pretty good right now. It'll probably be a 40 or 50 hour work week. Who knows? But you know, there was times where I worked 90 and 100 hour weeks, and that is kind of the norm when you're first coming up in this business. Maybe not quite as much today. I think there's a little bit better of a work-life balance. Favorite spices, black pepper. I love black pepper. It really is, you know, I mean, it's a very common spice, but it enhances some of the others. So salt and pepper, for that reason, I think the 2 that should be in everyone's pantry, because they really bring out the flavor of other foods. I love coriander. Coriander has a little bit of a citrusy note to it, and that also, I think, kind of livens up other flavors. And then chilies, that's maybe a broad term for spice, but I love heat in my food. I like having a little bit of something that kind of breaks up the monotony in those other ingredients, and another thing that can lift those flavors. And then this isn't really a spice, and so I'm giving you a 4th one, but one thing that I always tell people who are interested in cooking is that acid is just as important as salt is in cooking. Oftentimes, you know, just that squeeze of lemon. We all know that squeezing a little bit of lemon on your fish elevates the flavor of that dish. But especially when you have something that's very rich, if you have a sauce that's very buttery or creamy or whatever, a little bit of vinegar at the end. If you put the vinegar in too soon, it'll cook out and it will sort of dissipate. But just a little bit of acid at the end really kind of rounds out all those flavors and makes it less heavy.
Kind of building on our chef, having gone to some of the basics in culinary school, I have a whole new appreciation for what you all do and why our food costs what it does at a restaurant. So when you are creating like a special for the day or a particular dish that is popular, how many hours of time goes into that before we get to see it on our table?
Oh, it all varies. It depends. You know, last night we were doing some R&D on a gnocchi that we want to make, but we want to use plantains. And so we tested it out, and it was pretty good, actually, the first go-around, but it's probably going to need a few more, you know, iterations before it goes on a plate and we try to charge you money for it. So that particular item might take us, 15 hours to develop that one item for that one dish that maybe has 5 or 6 other components. So it varies, but generally, yeah, you spend a couple of days, full days working on a dish before it comes together.
Chef, is there any place or anyone in the Cincinnati culinary scene that's exciting you right now?
Oh, there's so many. My friend Jeff Harris at Nolia is one of the guys that I really think is pushing some boundaries. He's taking Southern food in a direction that typically isn't one that you expect. He's kind of playing with some nuanced flavors. He's inflicting different techniques that you wouldn't necessarily see in Southern food. So it's a really exciting restaurant, and he's just getting better and better.
Hi, Chef. I have a question for you. I know a lot of people who've moved from Cincinnati to New York, but you're the first person I knew. New York to Cincinnati. It sounds like you were young, probably in your 30s at the time. So what did you think of Cincinnati when you first moved here, and what is it about Cincinnati that made you want to stay?
Yeah. Well, the reason we moved here is my son was a baby at the time, and I was working those 100-hour weeks. My wife was working full-time, and the baby was in daycare, and we just felt like we could never see each other. I could never spend any time with the baby. So we thought, let's move to somewhere that's a little bit slower pace. Didn't necessarily pick Cincinnati, it kind of came and found me, but when we first got here, we didn't really think we were going to stay that long. It was going to be a short, 3 or 4 years maybe, and didn't really necessarily know exactly where we were going to go. That was also in 2008 during the height of the recession. So, honestly, the first year or two, I didn't hate Cincinnati, but I didn't think it was going to be a place that I would, you asked me, are you going to live there for 16, 17 years? I certainly couldn't have thought that was going to be the reality. But by year 3 or 4, when it was kind of time to say, okay, what are we going to do? I was already in love, and my son and my wife had, really made a lot of friends and a lot of relationships, and same for me. I was, becoming really a part of the community, and that's really, I think, what everybody would strive for, right? Is to be a part of a community and to feel like you're loved and to be able to reciprocate that love.
Thank you, Chef. You and I chatted a while ago about me being in Colombia multiple times, but I wanted to ask a cultural question about some experiences that I've had in several Latin American countries, and that is the dish pollo guisado. Is that it?
Pollo guisado.
Yes. You should eat it. It's amazing. So it's in every culture that I've been in.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a story about it. Do you happen to know what the story is?
I would think every culture's version is a little bit different, but I mean, it's chicken. It's stewed chicken, which, I guess it's a soup of sorts, and probably I would say the main reason you see it in every culture is because it's inexpensive, and chickens and potatoes and some water, and you can make a phenomenal dish. Of course, the touch is in the spicing, the seasoning. That's really, I think, where it elevates it to another level. But Colombia's version is really good. Yeah.
Chef, if you were a high school student interested in going into the restaurant industry, do you think it's better for someone to go to a school like Cincinnati State, get an associate's degree, or just go out into the industry, work at a restaurant, and kind of find out what it's like firsthand, rather than going to kind of the scholastic route?
Again, I told you I wasn't very scholastic, but I did go to culinary school. But typically, I recommend most people, if they're interested, is to go work in a restaurant, because as one of the other folks who asked the question alluded to, was just how hard it is, how difficult it is, and to really understand, to get that appreciation for the hard work that goes into working in a restaurant, I think is really, it's imperative, I think, before you go down the route of spending a lot of money on culinary school and time, and just ensure that that's something you want to do, because it can seem very glamorous from a distance, and the TV's really kind of done a really good job of making it seem like it's this beautiful job that is full of charm. You're like the Ratatouille guy, you're just creating. And then, no. So I would certainly recommend you go work in a restaurant for a few months, or even a few days, just enough to really kind of get a good grasp of what it's all about.
Thank you for being here, Chef. A two-part question. Number one, other than your own, where do you like to go to eat? And number two, what do you think of Skyline?
Mike's working. I guess I'll tackle this Skyline. It's not my favorite. I understand it, and I can see.
Or any other Cincinnati killer, maybe.
So, I think there's some technical flaws with Skyline. I think conceptually it's phenomenal. Right? Chili, spaghetti, cheese. I think all those things should work. Where do I like to go out to eat? Nolia again. I had a phenomenal meal at Aperture last time I was there. Pizza. There's St. Francis of Pizza in Hyde Park. I think they're really doing a great job with their pizzas. You can also get them frozen at Daily, by the way, and they're so good right out of your home oven. So a little plug for myself there. And yeah, but the reality is I don't have enough time to go out as much as I'd like. So my meals out right now, recently especially, have been far and few between. I've been really focused on the businesses, and because of all the challenges that we have going on, I'm extremely involved in everyday, day-to-day operations. All right, thank you all.
Chef Salazar, thank you for being here, and you might have seen the banner on the front of the podium, but basically the theme for this year given by Rotary National is the magic of Rotary. And you bring magic to Cincinnati. You can look out our view and probably envision where Mita's is, and just down the hill there. And please we'll enjoy all of your restaurants and all of your great cooking, and thanks for being here. We want to honor your speech today, but by two things. One, giving you a coin, as you can see the beautiful skyline that you can see out of the window, and then the four-way test, which is our mission statement of our Rotary, not just our club, but the clubs, 46,000 are throughout the world. And there are Rotaries in Queens and New York. I spent 10 years myself in New York City. So this is for you, and thank you for being here. And the second thing is we're making a gift donation in your honor to end polio now. Bill Shula talked about we're this close to ending polio, and that money will go towards in your honor to eradicate polio throughout the world. Thanks again. I know you have a few minutes, but appreciate you being. I have a few questions after we get a quick picture, and there's two more meeting rooms: Highland Room for new member advisory committee and program committee bridal suite. Don't forget to sign up for next Thursday's meeting with Brett Suter, and also the committee meeting prior to that for the board and committee leaders. Thanks again, and have a great week.